to get started here. Get all my socials going and all that. Gonna do some more work on these character sculpts today. But before I start, I'm just gonna send out my tweets. And make sure that I'm streaming to the right channels and such. Looks like we are. Alright. Alrighty, let's get started here. So one of the things I did earlier today, just to prep, I'll bring it up on the big screen here, but I went ahead and grabbed reference for a couple of my other characters here, and I'm also trying to get better about labeling all the reference I get, just so we like have some credit for these artists as I pan around and look at different pieces here. I haven't quite gotten it for everything I've got here yet, but that's what I'm currently working on. But I don't like having this reference on screen without, you know, giving credit where it's due. So, so that's new, and that's something I'll be continuing to add to here as I continue these sculpts. But yeah, so let's see. I did a little bit more work on Roma here since last stream, just a little bit. Did a little bit more of the hair back here just to get some nice, interesting curls. Got that bandana working a little better, like I was talking about last night. And so I think today's gonna mostly be, I'm gonna go back and forth between her and Niko again, and I think a lot of what I'm gonna be doing today, I gotta finish Niko's hair, so maybe I'll do some of that first. But I also want to start blocking out his jacket here for real. So I'll probably take what I've got here into Max and start modeling over it and stuff. So it'll be a good chance to show off how I normally tackle clothing. I usually do modeling, like I'll do a block out model first in Max, and then I'll bring it into Zbrush and do some wrinkles and folds and all that good stuff. So that's sort of what we'll get into today. Alrighty. Well, I guess I'll get started here on Niko. Because I really want to get the rest of this hair blocked out. So, some of what I do here initially will be kind of retreading the same starting process that I showed off on Roma yesterday. But it's a different hairstyle, so it'll be a slightly different approach. But following all the same principles, like got a place where his hair parts in mind. I've got sort of a general style in mind, like with these like big S-curve wispy things. Let me bring up my reference here again, so you'll be able to see on the left of the screen. So these were some of the references I got yesterday. So I'm definitely relying on these pretty heavily. just as far as like style and these big gestural swoops and stuff. So kind of keeping that in mind as I go through here and start styling. Whew. I'm happy to be working on this stuff again. Work's been just busy. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff with tight turnarounds, so this is always like my happy place when I can come back to these models and just do my own thing for a little bit, you know? And keeping with this whole mop top thing, just trying to get these long bits over the top here. Start to, I'm like trying to keep all these nice little curls in here too. I don't want to, a lot of times when I end up pulling these tubes in, I keep them a little too straight sometimes, I think. Especially for this character, like I want like crazy moppy S-curvy hair all overall in the design, so whoa, our camera. So I just gotta keep that in mind as I go through here, not to like, you want some straights, but keeping everything kind of loosey-goosey. So I'll probably, I don't know that I'll stream as long this evening as I did yesterday. I streamed for like 3 hours last time, and I got some gaming planned tonight with some buddies, so I'll probably keep that a little shorter. But figured I'd take the evening and at least get a little bit more of this stuff blocked in. And then of course, like, if anybody in chat, as always, has some art they want to look at, if they've got a work in progress, if they want any feedback on anything, any of that, feel free to post it up in chat and we'll take a look. It's one of my favorite things about these streams is like, you know, don't get me wrong, I love looking at and talking about my own art as much as the next person, but I love to see what y'all are working on. That's my favorite part about 3D, like the 3D industry or the art industry in general. Like, I want to see what y'all are working on, so. That's kind of looking alright. Getting like a little too repetitive with these shapes here. I might end up taking this one, and I think it just needs something. I'll figure it out. I think it needs either to curl around the other way, maybe? Yeah, break up some of that direction. So that's getting there. I try to like, you know, not do, especially when I'm still in the block out phases, not to do too many strands that follow the same sort of curve, because things will start looking real samey real quick. But this works a little better. I do want to keep these strands sort of over top, because that's like a nice gesture that kind of leads the eye back to the ear. So I want those to be kind of prominent, but I was thinking about maybe doing some blockouts for Makit tonight too, because I went through Pinterest today and grabbed a bunch of Tabaxi reference, and I'm just so keyed up to start sculpting that character. Um, I'll show some of that off here in a moment, but that character is just so freaking cool, and I haven't gotten to, like, I'm itching to do something a little less humanoid, like Tabaxi or um, it's been nice doing Roma because the Furbolg thing just has been a lot of fun. Where's Roma here? Is this one? Yeah. So this whole thing has been a lot of fun, but yeah, I think doing the Tabaxi with like that cute kitten nose and stuff, that's gonna be a blast. So there's a lot to figure out with that particular character, and I'm just really excited about it. This one, Niko is technically a satyr, so he's not a human. So I do want to spend a little bit more time with his features here and try to maybe pull in a little bit more of that goat man thing. Um, like maybe I work on the nose a little bit more, or give him a little bit more of a beard here. Like I'll probably go through and snake hook some parts of his face here and get like some more of this fur going. So maybe I'll try something like that. Like that could be kind of fun. So that's something I might work on this evening as well. He's leaning a little bit more like tiefling right now or something like, and I wanna pull in more of those goat elements. So let's see here. All right, almost done with this hair block out. Yeah, I like this idea that he's kind of got this big plane change back here that you sort of see from the front. His hair is very big from the front, which is kind of intentional. I want him to kind of have that whole bedhead thing. And I also one of the things I did earlier is collect a bunch of reference for his jacket. Like here, I'll pull up my pure ref again here. So I want to do this whole carnival-y, not quite ringmaster, but sort of like a Sergeant Pepper's thing, with a jacket with this big collar and like a cravat or a jabot like sticking out the front. Um, we can go real like flamboyant with this character because he like the whole idea is that he works at the carnival. So I want to like really pull in some of those fun elements into his costume. So maybe we'll get this curling around his horn or something here. That could be cool. I don't like that from the front though. Yeah, I will push it back instead. I've done enough of this sort of hairstyle at this point that I'm starting to get better at just kind of figuring out on the fly how this hair is laying, but that takes a lot of practice because You kind of fly blind the first few times you do it this way. But yeah, we'll get some good volume in here. We'll get like these planes kind of blocked out. I kind of want this, like over here, you can see what I'm starting to do here. Let me snipping tool this. So what I'm like working towards here. Let me grab my handy dandy red pen. But I want to really emphasize this this hair plane. So, man, I'm all messed up here. Here we go. Just this whole plane. Like I want some nice volume here. And then this one over here will come out like that. And from the front, that'll just give us like, and in the back, that'll give us this. Yeah, you can already see it starting to shape up here. That nice like silhouette break. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Hey, thanks, Matt. Good to see you, dude. How have you been, Matt? Matt is an insanely talented character artist. So go check out his stuff if you haven't already. No lies detected, bro. No lies detected. Um, Matt, are you what project are you on these days? Sick. Um, uh, I am a little envious because I just love the paladin style. So, what's this guy's name? Still learning the lore. So this is Niko Rosmeros, um, and he is a satyr bard. Um, so we're like 2 sessions in now, and he's done a little performance from his wagon for the Witchlight Carnival, and um, he's generally just been sort of a funny little. He's got like a funny little voice and stuff. I'm like I'm basing this character's voice off of the Nowhere Man, and kind of his personality off the Nowhere Man too from Yellow Submarine. Um, he's just got that very like high pitched roll. Um, but it's just he's been a lot of fun to play so far. So, and I've been learning mandolin for him, so that's been fun too. I probably went maybe a little too high with this. I can maybe get away with it depending on how I shape all this. But yeah, been learning chords on the mandolin. Been like, yeah, I'm trying to do a thing where like I've always had this idea where I wanted to play a bard character, and I like started learning an instrument while I played. So it's like at level 1, I suck at in theory, right? It's like at level 1, I'll suck at the instrument because I'm just starting to learn it, just like a level 1 bard might. And then sort of as I level up, um, I'm like practicing off stream and in the meantime, and hopefully getting better. So by the time we're level 10 or whatever, it's like I can play some licks. So I'm trying to really embody that, and it's been a lot of fun so far. They my party's been very patient with my antics, so it's been a really good time. Um, Originally, I was gonna learn ocarina for it and just have like, cause I do have like I don't know if I have it over here, but I have like one of those little sweet potato ocarinas. Um, but I was like, oh man, that's gonna get really annoying really quick because it basically sounds like a recorder. So I decided that maybe something a little easier on the ears be uh, would be better, and my party's probably happier for it. They would never tell me because they're all very nice, but um, I decided to save their ears a little bit. I want to I'm trying to go kind of horizontal with some of these pieces and get like a funny little stylish swoop. That's starting to get there. Man, his hair is like getting bigger and bigger as I add pieces on here, though. I should probably tamp it down a little bit. I also need to figure out what color I'm going to make his hair. I might go just brown like this, but I could go a little bit, something a little bit more interesting. His jacket's going to be like that bright red, I think, so I'm trying to think about that too. Maybe maybe a black or like a raven colored kind of thing. Could be cool. How would he look as a blonde? That could be kind of neat too. Huh. Yeah, so that's another thing I gotta nail down, but... Alright. That's not bad for a block in. I'll probably noodle on this a little bit more, but I want to start getting to his jacket, because that is very crappy right now. Um, yeah, I also want to try that Zbrush, that new Zbrush thing, because I want to detail these horns. And normally I would just do it with my slash brush. That's what I did for the fern horns. Like, I did them all by hand, like, a lot of trial and error, like, cutting into these things and just, like, trying to evenly space them. But I know there's that new ZBrush brush that, like, fills in the gaps for you. I need to, like, look that up this evening and try to do that, unless anybody in chat knows how to use that. But it's like, there's some button here. I gotta remember where it is, but you basically put the slash down. Let me subdivide it. Put the slash down here, put the slash down here, and it fills in everything in between. So if y'all know what that is, shout it out in chat, because I'd like to give that a shot tonight on these, because these are like a perfect candidate for it. They're pretty straight, and I'm guessing I just want to do them with some ridges or something, so it might be a good test case. Want these to sort of be like goat horns, so I'll have to look up some reference too, but and I also might play around with his face paint too. Right now he's got just this clown paint, but I know when I initially introduced him, I had mentioned that for the carnival he had like sort of floral like patterning, and and designs over here as well. So maybe I'll try something like that. Do some like leafy patterns, something like that. Something that sort of goes along with his like swoopy hair, you know? Kind of uses the same shapes. I don't know. That could be kind of cool. I don't want to go overboard with it because I still want his features to be pretty recognizable, but that might be something else. Interpolate. Adam says interpolate. Yeah, I think you're right. I just gotta find where that is. Let's see. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Zbrush interpolate. Yeah, this is it. Thanks, Adam. So let's see. It's in the stroke. Okay. It's in the stroke menu. Hey, Vixit! Thanks for the follow. Good to see ya. I'm a big fan of your streams. Yeah, let's give that a shot here. I'm just gonna like noodle with it. I don't know if I'm gonna use any of this yet, but so interpolate, there it is. Perfect. So let's do this. Let's just throw down a stroke and another stroke. And I'm guessing there's a function that, okay, so this is like a stroke count, so this determines the spacing. So let's try 8. That didn't work. Probably missing a step here. Interpolate between the last 2 strokes. Okay, let's try again. 1, 2. There it goes. Check that out. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, my significant other's parents brought me that SpongeBob when they visited last week. They just knew. I've never told them that I liked SpongeBob before, but they just knew that I'd want it, so. And they were 100% correct. Let's see. So let's mess around with this count here. This is an awesome tool. Like, I'm super glad they added this. Oh man, that saves so much freaking time. Oh, where have you been all my life? That's great, because now I can take that and just like do some clay tool, do some trim dynamic, like really get it looking horny, I guess. Get it looking like a horn. But we can get some really nice stuff with that in mind. That's awesome. Super, super cool. That's gonna be great. Oh, I can't wait until my next demon sculpt. Yeah, that is a big red flag for sure. They're just wrong if they dislike the sponge and his friends. Dan, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, the only trick with this, and this probably just comes with doing this a couple times, is kind of looking at the sculpt and guessing how many interpolates or how many strokes you want in between. Like that takes a little trial and error, but man, I'll take that any day over trying to do that by hand, because I've done it by hand before and it is not fun. So the stroke angle I could see mattering a good bit as well, like what angle I've got the model here before I interpolate it. because like, yeah, this is looking slightly different, but that's okay. Just doesn't have to be perfect. Oh man, I'm so hyped about that. That's really freaking cool. Larice, let me know if I'm not saying that right, but thank you so much for the follow. So Vixit, the interpolate function is under stroke. So stroke, interpolate, and it takes your last two strokes into account. So the first time I did it, I think I messed up and I like did the same stroke twice, uh, and it just like increased the intensity of my line, and I was like, oh, that's weird, that didn't work. But yeah, so as long as you don't accidentally like, I think what I did was I did a stroke, or here we go. Let me switch back to slash. So I did a stroke and like maybe I let up on the pressure a little bit at the end, so it counted it as two strokes, and then I did. So then when I went to interpolate it, it like did weirdness. So you just gotta watch out for that. But otherwise, it's pretty foolproof. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for the follow. So I'll probably do like another ridge or something. I freaking love slash 3 for this kind of stuff, man, because it just like does exactly what you want it to do. You can like kind of go crazy with your brush size and just get like a quick, plane change. You gotta kind of watch if it sometimes it messes up the back faces, but in this case it looks like it didn't. Get something like that going. I don't know. I should look at some reference for these because right now I'm just kind of riffing, um, but I'm just so excited about this tool that I just wanted to give it a shot. I think I should probably do. Let me see. Let me see how I styled it on Fern, because I think she has a few less sort of strokes on her horns. No, they're pretty close together. Though you could tell I did these by hand because like some of the spacing's kind of like different, and it's not bad because it kind of gives it sort of a natural look to it, but it just yeah, it's definitely got more of a a handmade look. But and then what I like to do, I think what I did last time is I took clay buildup and just sort of created another ridge down the side, and I'll set my stroke, my lazy mouse, something like that. Have to give it a couple tries here to get sort of the settings I want. Maybe something softer. Let's do this. Something like that. But yeah. Horns are so much fun to sculpt. I need to do somebody uh make like a cool tiefling that I can sculpt that has some crazy horns. Alright, I'm gonna step away from those for a second though, because like I said, I want to look at some reference before I get too far in the weeds on those. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I've got Max open here. Let me open a new instance. We're gonna model some cloth, so kind of give you all a sense of how I normally approach cloth. Be just a second while Max opens. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, doing those kinds of ridges by hand, like the benefit is you kind of get something that, like I said, looks a little bit more natural, especially on like a character like this where I kind of maybe want a little bit of asymmetry, a little bit of topsy-turviness, and that kind of stuff. But all right, so this is great. I'm just gonna quickly bring some of this into max so I have sort of a guide. The scale is gonna be all messed up too here because I already know that these busts are like really teeny. I should really scale them up, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, I need to fix this and make it into something. And I could just start pulling this around and get it looking decent in ZBrush. I just like modeling clothing. It just like it's just a little easier to manage, and then I can control my loops a little bit more and all that. So, but this could be a good start if I just pull some of this around. So like I said, let me pull my reference back up here again. So I got like so I really like this with like it's got like the tight collar around the neck, but then it kind of flares out here. Or this is a great one too. I like this one a little better because it's a little bit more um, like rough around the edges, like it's sort of disheveled and looks kind of beat up. Um, and then I grabbed this just because I like the trim, like the lattice work and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of try to synthesize some of these jackets, some ideas here for this character. Um, but the main thing, I mean, the main event is the big collar. Like that's what I really want. Um, so we can do that. Let me go ahead and yeah, I do have a rough low poly here. So I use the same base mesh for all of these D&D characters. So sometimes this topology gets pretty stretched, but here it's actually not too bad. Um, it's a little wavy and bendy around the neck especially, but I'm just blocking stuff in anyway, so it's just kind of a proxy. Let me go ahead and pause this. I think this interpolate video is still playing in the background. So let's go ahead and stop that. And my music also stopped, so let me restart that as well. Alrighty. So I'll probably, let's see, I'll probably start with a cylinder here, or let's tell you what, let's just grab, I'm gonna hide this for the time being, and grab some polys off the neck and start from those. So I don't know if any of you have messed with Max 2022 yet, but one of the things that I don't like about it, and I still need to figure out if there's a new hotkey or what, but like you can't just control shift click and select a loop. You can kind of, like you can do it with the edge, like you can do this, right, with an edge, but you used to be able to do that with the polygon by holding down shift. And now it does this like this where it like sort of draws your selection, and I don't want that. I just want to select the loop. So if anybody knows if there's like a new hotkey or something for that, give me a shout. But that's okay. I'll just use the edge selection and control click my polygon and turn that into a polygon selection. So that's kind of a way to get around that, I guess. But here, and I actually don't want to entirely delete that, so let me throw an edit poly and detach it. And then delete the edit poly. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I am so far really liking 2022 because it's a little bit more stable. Like 2021, I got to the point where I was just getting constant crashes, especially with certain scenes. It got to the point where certain scenes would just instant crash whenever I'd boot them, and it got immediately fixed when I switched to 2022. So at least it's a little bit more stable, but there's some like a couple little changes around the margins that it's like I see why they did it and I see where it could be useful, but I just need to get used to it, I think. That's like pretty typical for Macs, I guess, but um so let's delete some of these in here. And I'm gonna just very quickly kind of block out the general contours of this jacket and also the collar, which is pretty important. So there's some faster ways to do this, but I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way here and just start drawing polygons. Old-fashioned box modeling. I'm like a big evangelist for, even though I'm sitting here struggling getting the vert to weld to the right one, that's okay. I'm still a big evangelist for blocking out your stuff like this, or just generally in low poly first before bringing it into the ZBrush, because ZBrush gets really fiddly really quick, and I've just found, at least for me, I work a lot faster when I do a sort of medium poly block out in Max to start, especially with clothes. I'm wondering why. There we go. Sometimes Max doesn't like when you're drawing your step building polygons. It doesn't like rectangles, because it's looking for that perfectly square poly. The trick with it is to angle the camera so that the verts kind of make that square, and then usually it connects a little easier. So that's a fun little trick to trick Max into working correctly. But yeah, Max, I freaking love Max, but it doesn't always love you back. And because this head is so small, my offset, even though it's set super low, it's gonna go a little crazy, but here we go. So that's great. So the reason there's a couple reasons I do a mid poly and max first like this. One, I think it's faster than trying to do this in ZBrush, though I know quite a few artists who are crazy good with ZModeler or crazy good with QMesh, that get the same results even faster than I do. So, if that's your workflow, go for it. I just have a hard time wrapping my head around that stuff, and I really love my max stack. Like, I love being able to just keep adding edit polys or shells or whatever. Like, I love having all that stuff. Adam says, I like Maya's quad draw, haven't tried Max. Yeah, Maya has a great quad draw package. You could use Tofu Gun for this too, honestly. Like, they have a great package that does the same thing. But I just love Max. I'm a big Max booster. I'm gonna get rid of some of these extra loops because I want to keep it pretty low poly here. Yeah, and so that's the one reason. My stack, I love my stack. I love my like, I love how fast I can work in it, but also like I'll be able to reuse this topology later if I want to low poly this. I'll just take out some loops and clean it up. And like I've already got my low poly for free. I don't have to do any extra retopology later. So that's the other big benefit to this workflow. Like, if I am game resing a mesh, um, I'm just starting out with like I'm starting out on better footing. So like later when it comes to the really slow, crappy parts of the pipeline, namely retopology, I've already got started, right? So I sort of do like a mid poly to high poly to low poly workflow. That's my bag. But so we'll get something that works decent here. Maybe I'll do the sleeves later. I'll do those in ZBrush just because they're pretty simple. But I especially wanted to do this in Max first because collars. Collars are like such a big pain in the butt to do in ZBrush because it's hard to control the thickness. It's hard to like you're like in there fiddling with move topological to get the right topology to do what you want it to, and I don't want to fool with any of that. So I just want to like be able to shape this collar quickly in a low poly and then come back and polish it later. But see, look, that took me like 5 seconds and it's very easy to edit. I can go in here and add some loops. And I'll turbo smooth this in a minute so you'll see like kind of how it's shaping up and how it's gonna look in the sculpt. But this is just like how I like to start it. So let me weld these verts. Let me pinch all this together. And so this is the real payoff with Max. I can throw a symmetry on this. I can throw my shell on this. That's crazy. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. I need some inner shell, I think. I could throw my turbo smooth on this, and then I can kind of start to get a sense of how this is working and how this is going to work in my high poly. So I need some additional loops to get rid of some of this twisting and stuff, but that's okay. And the beauty of this, of course, is that it's all non-destructive. I can go back to my low poly very quickly, and just like turn the visibility on my stack on and off. And this is why I like Max. And I guess I haven't used a lot of Blender, but I guess Blender works this way too. Like it works on a stack, which I'm actually super excited about. It's the thing that makes me want to learn Blender the most. The fact that it works this exact same way. Like, I'm all about a non-destructive workflow. So if I can turn a couple modifiers off, try something, have it not work, and then go back, or in a studio context, if my art director says, I don't like I don't know. I don't like the thickness of this cloth, right? It's too thick. I need something that's a little thinner. It's like, well, that's perfect because I didn't like extrude a shell. I just have the shell in my stack and I can go back and edit it on the fly, right? So that's my big thing. I'm all about that. Still looks a little goofy, but we're getting somewhere here. We'll get back to ZBrush soon, I promise. And you can also like do, right now I'm doing kind of a stiff sort of shaped cloth in Max, but like where it really shines is doing like long drapery or like a long flowy dress with like lots of wrinkles and folds. Like I love modeling that stuff in Max because it's very easy once you kind of know how to like cheat your topology or like make certain cuts in certain places, you can very quickly get nice wrinkles and folds in Max, no ZBrush required. Um, so just as an example here, um, so let's say, let me throw a new edit poly on here. So we'll do this in its own edit poly. Let's say I want like a fold right here. Yeah, I mean, if you're good at modeling in ZBrush, like that's great. And a lot of people are, and I say go for it. I just for me personally, I find that when I try to model in ZBrush, it ends up taking me too long. I just I just spend a lot of time fiddling with it, um, and it takes me more time to get the result I want than it would in here. That's all. So it's kind of different for everyone. So let's say I want this to kind of wrinkle right here. So I'm doing like these funny cuts in my topology here, but check it out when I smooth that, right? It's like that's starting to do something kind of wrinkly. Um, let's go ahead and do a couple more cuts here, because I want this to sort of like create a little pocket, like a little divot, where that wrinkle is compressing the fabric. So I do something like that, right? And it's like, okay, now I can like, once I can always go back and clean this up in ZBrush and make it like maybe a little more pinched or this or that. But honestly, I find this like a great way to block out like bigger gestures, like bigger wrinkles and folds. Um, I know the topology looks insane, but it's like, who cares? This is kind of my high poly, right? Um, so that's just one little method. And like when I did the fern sculpt, um, let me switch back to that here real quick. So when I did this, let me go ahead and bring back my subdivisions here. But you can start to see how I low polyed this, because I did this low poly in Max and then brought it in here and smoothed it. But that's all just straight up modeling and doing cuts into the geo and pushing and pulling things. So it's really, really powerful. Same with this cloth. Like this, I don't know if I can get back all the subdivisions. I don't know why I deleted them in the first place, but yeah, that's not a great example. Hard to see, but I modeled all the cloth you see on Fern here, other than her like wraps, her sort of torso wraps. I modeled everything else in Max beforehand and brought it in. This cape, like this was low polyed. So you get the idea. But yeah, big proponent of low polying first. Okay. So enough about that. I'm gonna shape this a little bit more in the low poly before I bring it into ZBrush. Doesn't need to be perfect, because I can always clean it up in ZBrush and make the shapes a little bit more interesting. Because right now it's still looking kind of bleh. But I just wanted something to start working with. I'm deciding if I want to do like this character has like this part of the back of the collar as well. And I guess I could do that on him too. Yeah, maybe I should. Or maybe I'll do this tighter collar like that. Let's try that. That's a little bit more Sergeant Peppery, a little bit more Beatlesy. So let's give that a shot. So I'm just gonna grab some geo here and fold it over just like that. So again, I'm like, this isn't perfect, but this will give me some meat to work with when I bring it into ZBrush and start messing with it. So let's set flow there. Merge these verts. Beautiful. All right. I like to do like a support loop here on the end, just so when I turbo smooth it, it doesn't break. But yeah, so this will be like a nice place to start. So let me, here, let's do a little bit more back here. And just pull this down. And again, I'm gonna do the sleeves in ZBrush because those are super simple. Just want a little bit more topology to work with down here. Throw a couple more loops in there. Let's grab this as well. This is where the sleeve's gonna originate from. So let's just like create a little loop there. So we'll have a place to insert the sleeve. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Make sure all my verts are welded. Alright, let me throw this into ZBrush. So I have to copy this these days. Max does this annoying thing with GoZ now where it wants to collapse the stack. It didn't used to collapse the stack when you GoZ'd it, but it does now. So I usually will duplicate it and then delete and then just have my version with the stack here. Let's see. I like ZModeler, but it's like learning ZBrush for the first time all over it. I feel the exact same way. I've like messed with it a little bit and just like tried to like do, I don't remember what I did. I think I tried to do like a ship or something in it just to like try to get my feet wet. And it's like, this is my problem with ZBrush. Like you said, learning ZBrush all over again, and that's the key word there is learning. It's not learning another program. It's like learning ZBrush because ZBrush speaks its own language. It works completely different from any other program you've ever used. It's like even the save button is in a different place, right? So, yeah, it's just a big to do to learn it because you have to. It's like learning Blender. It's like you have to learn to speak their language, and ZModeler itself speaks its own language. It's yeah, it's my biggest pet peeve with ZBrush, and it's like I know how powerful it is because I've seen. I mean, I've seen what artists have done in it, and I have some coworkers on Smite that are freaking brilliant with QMesh. Like, have done just things that like work that I couldn't even dream of in there. Like, but I don't know the language. It's just tough. um, it's like anything else. It would just take some time to sit down and learn it. But so I think so. Let me bring my reference up because I'm struggling to figure this out. Okay, so we need more of a curve with this first of all. I think we want it to be a little bigger. And I'm going to do a lot of like inflating and like smoothing and trying to relax some of this stuff. Could have probably used some more loops in this like curvy part. That probably would have helped get the bend and the separation, but that's okay. I was trying to egg on one of my coworkers, Quen Parker. She works on Smite with me, and she is like a Q mesh god. Like it's insane the ZModeler work she does in here, and I'm really trying to egg her on into like teaching a little, like to do a little tutorial or teach a little class or something, because I'd be all ears. Because it's super impressive, and I just I think I'm a little impatient with it. Yeah, I'm trying to get this collar to like sit on the shoulders in the right way. Um, I haven't quite figured it out yet. See, I like this gesture that this old proxy one was doing. Maybe I'll try to bring some of that back. Like, it's just really kind of, mm, it's very carnival-y and it's very mythic looking, like very fantasy. So I think I just need to go crazier with these shapes. Yeah, sort of bend this, make it thicker overall as well. I don't want this getting too like too thin. Also gonna add the sleeves here too, because this looks kind of goofy as a vest. So I'll do that here in a moment. And I also have to open it up more. Like, I need more of this, like more chest showing. And probably should probably be able to see more of the collar from the back, I think, too. Give it sort of that like triangle shape. Yeah, that's already starting to help. So I'm not necessarily like married to any of the shapes that I made in Max, like purely using it just to get the, rather than like dynameshing and then z-remeshing a bunch of like cubes together, which is how I used to block out objects. It's just a good way to get a quick something, you know, to start working with. There we go. That's starting to work. So let me throw a sleeve on. Oop, shirtless. That's fine too. No. We'll get a quick little sleeve on here. Just extrude this deltoid. And I'll just call it out in chat again since I mentioned it earlier, but if anybody has any works in progress that they're doing that they want to show off on stream here, or otherwise wants feedback on anything, I know I mentioned this last night, but I'm all about throwing other work on the stream so we can look at stuff. Um, Whether for crit or you just want to show something off, I'm always game for that. So all right, let me get rid of this little nib. Delete that. And throw a quick remesh on these sleeves. I love the idea now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I don't know how like put together I want Niko to be yet. I think I want him to have like a couple seams popping here and there on some of his clothes. So I'm actually glad I modeled it this way with the sleeves separate, because I think I want to do like a thing where his sleeve is sort of separating from his jacket, and then I'll like have some stitches in between so it looks a little bit like handmade, or like that it's kind of wearing out, or both. One of the kind of lore things with Niko. Maybe I shouldn't say this on stream because I haven't given it away in our RP yet, but um, Niko's jacket is kind of special. I'll just say that that hasn't been revealed, so keep it between us. Um, but I want it to kind of look a little handmade and rough, like he's been wearing it for 10 years or something. So so I'll probably do something later on where I like have this sleeve like kind of popped out and then some stitching. I think that'll be nice. So let's do it like so we got this jacket in here. I kind of want to do like his jabot or his cravat. Like I want to block that into, and that'll be like a fun thing to rough out here. Shouldn't take super long. I want to kind of go more like the British, because he's a bard, right? So he's supposed to be like a rock star. So I kind of want to do the is that like I know they well yeah, he's kind of got this Austin Powersy thing. Is that Mick Jagger that wears a jabot sometimes in some of his costumes? I don't remember, but nonetheless, I want to do something like this. Yeah, very Liverpudlian, Matt. Liverpool. Oh, you mean the band? Uh, oh, there is no. Is there a band named Liverpool? I mean, I know the Beatles are from Liverpool, but oh yeah, yeah, um, yeah. He's definitely got like a Liverpool uh accent, or at least I'm trying to do one. I'm not very good at it. It's kind of coming off more like an accent or something, but yeah, for sure. That's kind of the idea though, is uh definitely sort of that like rock star. And plus he's at like a carnival, so he's supposed to look, you know, Mick Jagger and the Beatles and Sergeant Pepper, like they're all doing that carnival thing, like or like Magical Mystery Tour or something. So that's kind of where I'm drawing a lot of my inspiration. There we go. That's starting to work as a jacket. Let's throw together a quick cravat. So I'm gonna start this the same way I did the jacket with that little neck loop. So let's just grab that. But yeah, I really wanted to lean into the Liverpool accent when I started this character. Um, but I found very quickly that I'm terrible at it, and I would need a lot more practice with it. So I'm kind of like doing something just like a kind of like a high pitched British thing that is a little bit more in my in my voice comfort zone. So, but I'd like to, yeah, I'd like to switch that up eventually. And yeah, it just takes a lot of practice and the majority of time here, like Alicia is out of town right now, my partner, but normally she's around, and I get a little embarrassed practicing the accent on my own. I get a little time in the car every once in a while where I can kind of get a little practice in, but I don't want to do it all the time. I don't want to be that guy. So unless you like have the time to really really get your practice in, it can be really difficult. Um, but man, I love doing voices. Like I can't role play, especially in like D&D or something, without at least trying something fun. I'm a little theatrical in that way, I guess. Let's see. So I think Jabots. I used to I used to own a Jabot for a Halloween costume once, so I kind of know how they work. But they usually have this band that goes around the neck, and then the frills come off that band. Um, so let's go ahead and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to get a quick plane here. Let's detach this. Throw some loops in. Throw a quick. Actually, no, I do want some loops for now, because I'm gonna do some of my wrinkle work in Max here. Here, let me get rid of that, and let's center our pivot. Yeah, my my last character, I did a little bit of an accent, but he was just kind of like a grumbly, like he was just like a curmudgeon-y little gnome, and that was pretty fun. That was my character Fenlip. And curmudgeon-y gnome is something I'm pretty good at. Uh, I can be kind of gnomish, but um, Kyle, if y'all should definitely check out our roleplay streams on Tuesdays because we're streaming our campaign. But Kyle has been doing this really excellent sort of Russian accent for his character. And good lord, I'd never heard him do a Russian accent before, but it's pretty good. It's pretty stellar. Um, so big shout out to him for even like going for that because that would be very difficult to maintain for me. And he's nailing it. So what I like to do for these kinds of wrinkles, these are exactly the kind of like folds and stuff I did on Fern. So I'll just like throw a couple loops in here. And I'm gonna set my move tool to screen so that my gizmo is in screen space, and I can just start pulling some of these loops around here. Um, but what I'm doing is I'm making these like wavy. I want this like kind of wavy look to these, right? And I'll probably do like two or even three of these that are kind of layered on top of each other. Um, and but I'll get to that in a second. Let's for now just like throw some loops and start creating some of these. I don't want to go like too tubey with them and too thick, but I'll give that a shot here. And I'm gonna throw again like I did for the jacket. I'm just gonna throw a quick shell and a quick turbo smooth on this, just so as we go here we can look at how it's shaping up. So that's a nice tube, but it's a little big. So I'm gonna like pull this over, pull this in, and I'm just gonna like add some loops here as I go and create a handful of these little waves. I love modeling these things. This is a great technique for like floral, like super flowy gowns and stuff too. Um, and like even if the loops somewhat overlap each other, that's fine because when we turbo smooth it, they'll kind of they'll relax a bit. So like if I were to smooth this out now, the shell's a little turned up. So if I turn that down here, we can sort of tune that to exactly how we want it, but something like that. I want to give this a little bit more breathing room though. Maybe have like one that kind of goes the other way here. And I'm also paying attention as I do these to like how this silhouette is reading. Like I want this to look really um, sort of graphic and have those nice like S curves and all that stuff that all that same stuff we were talking about with the hair. And one other trick with this too is I usually like will turn my rotation in screen space as well and slightly angle these so that they taper a little bit as they get towards the neck. And I'll do that with these as well, right? Something like that. So now we're getting sort of these, they're sort of flaring out, and I can continue to like further push that either in Max or in ZBrush later on, but just keep going here. All right, let me look at my Discord real quick here. I'm gonna stream for, if I had to guess, I want to say another half hour or so. I'm waiting on the word from some buddies because I'm gonna try what's this game called? Um, Hell Let Loose this evening. It's like a World War II Eastern Front game um, that some of my buddies have started to queue up. So gonna give that a look here this evening. But I might stream one more time this weekend, maybe. But otherwise, if I don't do that, then the next time I'll stream will be with the rest of the Mad Lads on Tuesday. Um, so we're gonna do our RP stream on Tuesday, but and I'm hoping like in the next couple weeks to start putting these character models in our sort of OBS overlay so that it's a little easier to follow our dialogue and all that stuff. So that's kind of my ultimate goal with these. Um, so I'm gonna start to throw these on there as well. So this might be good enough to get started with. I'm gonna add one more of these sort of like tubes to this side, I think, and then I can start to bring it into ZBrush and start to make the shapes a little bit more interesting. Because these are starting to do what I want them to, but they're like very straight and they don't quite have like some of the flowy bits that I'd like. Um, I'm also gonna like create bigger, some bigger gaps here, which I think helps sell the look of these things. Can start to flare out some of this stuff. All right. I think I need to find a deeper bench of tunes here. I keep running out. I'll have to do that off stream for next time. So one of the other things I like to do with some of these is I'll actually do a little cut in here just to create a little bit more variation. Here, let's do it from back here. There we go. We can create a little overhang in some of these areas. And again, it's like, yeah, we're using tries. The topology is a little weird, but once we smooth it out, it won't matter. There we go. That's starting to look decent. So if I want to like quickly layer a couple of these too, What I might do here, we'll see how this looks. Maybe it won't look very good, but I'm gonna just like detach, delete. Okay. So now we've got like another layer. I'm gonna throw a push modifier on this, push it out by just real low numbers. I'm working in a teeny little scale here, so the numbers are kind of wild, but there we go, something like that. And then grab this, paste. So now we've got some like layering here. And what I'll do, and when I get the stuff in ZBrush, which will be right now, I'll sort of like push and pull these things so they look a little bit less, well, you'll see. I'll just flare them out a little bit more and stuff. But let's get these in here. Great, great. And let's get this little guy in here as well. I'll throw some support loops on this little collar, just so it smooths out well. Perfect. All right. Let's see. Let me throw my tunes back on. Let's do some of this. Hopefully that's not too loud. Let's see. There we go. Something like that. All right. Here we go. And I think we're missing one cravat here. There it is. Cool. Simple as. Throw some inflate on here and might end up redoing this top one off stream, but we'll see here. Let's see if we can get it looking all right. And I can use like my move topological or something to like pull out these tubes and get them to look kind of fun. I do kind of want them to look kind of disheveled like everything else on this character, so. Not gonna be too afraid to bend them all up or make them a little wavy. With these things too, I find like putting a little smoothing towards the top generally helps with the look as well. So like maybe a little clay tool or something like that. And just so that it doesn't look too samey as the one below it. Very lazy trick right here, but I'm just gonna throw a mirror on it. That will do it for the time being, at least. Exactly. Efficient, not lazy. Yep, when in doubt, throw the mirror on it. Something, something, smarter, not harder. Something, something. That's feeling nice and circusy. Just, I'm like really trying to like get these shapes to look kind of crazy. That's getting there. It's looking nice and circusy. That first session, I did a little bit of like a variation on. I don't know if any of you. Well, I don't know how much any of you are into the Beatles. Maybe not at all, but they have. Lennon had a really great, very circusy song, and I'm not going to sing it for you here, but it's called for the benefit, or the being for the benefit of Mr. Kite, and it's a great little circusy tune. But for our first session, I did like a little variation of that song on the mandolin for his opening performance. So that was a lot of fun. I would highly recommend watching The Yellow Submarine though, because there are some really goofy and fun characters in that movie. Here, let me bring up the Nowhere Man. Here we go. This is basically the inspiration for this character's voice and roleplay, and his personality, honestly. Let me see if I could turn this up here. One moment. I'll get this turned up.
I must complete my bust. 2 novels, finish my blueprints, begin my begee.
Hey, Jimmy, must you always talk in rhyme?
If I spoke prose, you'd all find out I don't know what I talk about. Ad hoc, ad loc, and quid pro quo. So little time, so much to know.
Hey, fellas, look.
The footnotes for my 19th book. This is my standard procedure for doing it, and while I compose it, I'm also reviewing it.
A boob for all seasons.
How can he lose?
Well, you notice is good.
It's my policy never to read my reviews.
There must be a word for what he is.
Well, I love that freaking scene. That movie is hilarious, so highly recommend. That was like I like grew up on that movie big time. All right. So one of the things I'm noticing here with the jacket that I want to kind of do is I want to sharpen up the shoulders, get them a little bit more squared off, like some of this reference we're looking at. It's looking a little slumped. One second. All right. There we go. So I want to like get this looking a little bit more uniformy, kind of suit jackety. So I'm gonna sort of need to broaden out his shoulders in general, I think. That's already feeling better. Seems like, yeah, with these suit jackets, like, they come out pretty far, like the torso part does. Like they're pretty, they come out into that big sort of trapezoid shape, and then the sleeve just kind of caps them, sort of like that. Now that's with his arms down to the side, but maybe I'll bring it out slightly. There we go. It's looking kind of fun. His suit like looks maybe a little bit too big for him, but I kind of like that. I think that fits his persona. Let's see how this is gonna look in red. Let me just throw some color on this real quick. Maybe like a darker red, or even like a sort of burgundy. Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that for now. Sick. I dig it. Alright, go back to the darker hair. Oh yeah, that's gonna be cool. I think I'm sold on the black, like the dark hair, like I don't even know. I was thinking slightly purpley at first, but now that I'm seeing it with the red suit, I think the red, black, and white is gonna be a good look, so. My last character kind of had a red theme too, but that's okay. It's a good color, so. That is not bad for an afternoon's work. Let me go ahead and hit this with the save. Oh man, I'm so excited. We're gonna have a cool cast of characters here. Between Roma and him. I'm really pumped about all this, so it's gonna be really cool. So I think, so this is a good like start for both of these characters. We've got the cloth and the hair all figured out, which is typically the hardest, like the hardest part. So now it'll just be like kind of detail mode. So I'll probably go in and do a little bit more face stuff on this next time. I'm gonna off stream collect a little bit more reference for the horns to find out exactly what I'm gonna want to do. And then like all the facial hair stuff as well. So I think the next stream though, I might start a new character. I kind of want to like build all these together, so by the time I'm at the end and sort of detailing everything, like everything's sort of at the same level and has also I'm trying to keep the style consistent between all of them. So one thing that was kind of funny about the last set of these I did, because I did 4 characters, and I noticed that the last character I did, which I think was Aldrich, Brett's character, was the best one of the set. Which makes sense because I did 4 busts. I learned a lot as I went. So by the time I got to the end, the best one was the last one, which was very cool. But I think with this set, I'm gonna try to do my best to build them all at the same time, and hopefully by the end of it, they'll sort of all be polished to that level, you know. So this is probably, I say all that to say, I think this is probably a decent stopping point for Niko, for now. I might still do a little bit more work on Roma to get, because one thing I didn't get to yesterday in my stream was her like cloth, like this thing, this like shawl thing I have here is just temp. I just threw that in there, and it's not very good. It's not very form-fitting. It's not very anything. So I want to go in and redo that. So maybe in my next stream I'll work on that a bit. But otherwise, I think I would really like to get started on Makit. So here, I'll show y'all some more of the reference. I showed some of this earlier, but Kaylin, whose character this is, sent me like a ton of amazing images, and I collected some of my own earlier today, of these Tabaxi characters. And this image here, this image by Sujung Ham, is the main one she sent, and it's awesome. So long story short, I'm just like super pumped to start on this. So I think for next stream, I'll probably work on this a bit. Maybe I'll get something sort of blocked out off stream, or maybe I'll do it on stream. Not sure yet, but yeah, it's a dope character. I'm super pumped. And like, I haven't done any Tabaxi characters like this before. It's going to be a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out how stylistically I want to approach it, and just like doing a humanoid cat is just a challenge in its own right. There's a lot to consider. So anyway, that'll be for next stream, I think. But for now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. I really appreciate y'all for stopping by the stream. It was really cool to see some familiar faces and lots of people in chat. That was all really exciting. If you haven't already, please do give us a follow. We're working towards affiliate here, and we're making pretty good progress, and it would go a long way to that. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and until next time.